Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Joe.
And this is CrimeDivers.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's episode.
Hello.
And today is actually the end of series 3.
It is, it's the last episode. So to give you a treat, it's a Laura-sode.
Yeah, so we are doing this episode and then we're going to be off for a couple of weeks. We'll still be doing our Patreon episodes as normal, but there'll be no episodes for the next couple of weeks, and we'll be back with series 4 on the 26th of October, just in time for a wee Halloween bonus.
Yeah, it is going to be running up.
Yeah, we'll do maybe a wee spooky one for Halloween.
Absolutely, but
well, not for that one because that'll be a normal episode. But then Halloween's on the Sunday, so we'll do a wee bonus one as well.
Yeah.
So today's Laura-sode is called
The Stoneman Douglas Shooting.
And where in the world are we?
It's in Florida, in the USA.
Okay, so should we dive in?
Let's dive in. Nicholas Jacob Cruz was born on the 24th of September 1998 in Margate, Florida. He was adopted at birth by Linda and Roger Cruz. Sadly, his adoptive dad actually died when he was 6.
Oh.
And actually his adoptive mother died when he was 19 as well. So,
oh, what a shame.
yeah, I mean, that's probably the only time you'll feel sorry for him. Though.
Right, yeah. I kind of thought that, but still.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. So not great. So Cruz, he had a lot of behavioural issues since like middle school. He was transferred between schools 6 times in 3 years in an effort to deal with these problems. But to me, it just sounds like no one was dealing with it, and they were just passing them around, and just basically passing the problem around, which I don't think, is ever really the answer when somebody's a bit.
No, that's not helpful. They're just passing the buck.
Well, exactly, because you want to help people. I mean, I know not everybody can be helped, but you've got to try, and passing somebody around, I just don't think that's, personally the right answer for, and in this case, maybe not. So, it was, in 2014, he was transferred to a school for children with emotional or learning disabilities as well, and there were reports there that he made threats against other students. So, he was having a bit of a bad time, I think, just being passed around. He was just not getting on with things very well, and he was just a bit of a troubled child, I think.
Right. So,
after being passed around a few times, he did actually return to one of his previous schools, which was Stoneman Douglas High School. So, in 2016, he was actually expelled from there. But in 2007... he returned in 2016, but he was expelled in 2017 for disciplinary reasons. But he couldn't actually be expelled from the school system completely. So basically, he was transferred to another school again. So, again, just passing the problem.
Yeah.
The school administration had circulated an email to teachers warning that Cruz had made threats against other students. So he was banned. The school actually banned him from carrying a backpack and stuff, so just in case he had anything in it.
Like weapons.
Yeah. So back in 2013, he had actually been assessed by psychiatrists, and he had actually been recommended for an involuntary admission to a residential treatment facility, but I don't know, he never obviously went. In September 2016, the Florida Department of Children and Families investigated him for Snapchat posts in which he cut both his arms, and he said he planned to buy a gun.
What, he cut his arms?
Yeah, he self-harmed himself, cut
on
his
Snapchat?
Yeah,
oh God.
Snapchat that to people. I mean, thankfully, I found out there was Snapchat, those images only last a matter of seconds.
But can you not save them?
Oh, well, I think you can maybe
I don't know,
them.
I can't, it's been a long time since I've had Snapchat.
Yeah, I'm not really into Snapchat, to be honest.
Yeah, I would find that very disturbing to see somebody harming themselves.
Well, exactly. And like I say, he said he planned to buy a gun. It was also reported that he had depression, autism, and ADHD. And apparently, he was said to be low risk of harming himself and others, which I wrote in brackets, wrong.
But he's already harming himself.
Well, this is
a previous
case that we've just done, we were talking about how experts determine about people being low risk and stuff like that.
That was a Patreon one, though.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah.
just because
Sorry.
the listeners, well, a lot of listeners would have
Yeah, in our
heard
last
what we were talking
Patreon
about.
one, we were discussing that, and it just shows you how an expert can obviously get these things wrong because, from what we're about to find out, I mean, he certainly wasn't low risk.
Yeah.
So in February 2017, Cruz legally purchased an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle from a Coral Springs gun store. He had passed the required background check. I'm not actually sure what the required background check is, but he passed that. And prior to that purchase, he'd also bought other firearms, including at least one shotgun and several other rifles. And at the time Cruz bought the guns, it was actually legal for people as young as 18 to purchase guns from federally licensed dealers. But I do believe now, I don't know if it's on the back of this case or not, but the minimum age has now been put up to 21, which is obviously better.
Yeah, I get that, but still, 21 is still quite young.
It does seem quite young, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I find it...
I think it's just because we're not used to guns.
I know, so I mean, I still find it incredibly mental that in America you can actually go and buy a gun.
Yeah.
Or you can own a gun.
I just think any age to have a gun is just to me it's scary.
It scares me. I'm grateful that we do live in a country where, I mean, I know people still have guns and stuff and weapons and bits and pieces, but it's obviously not like a legal thing, so it's not like everybody's got them.
Yeah. I suppose like obviously Americans are used to it. That's just the way that's their way. But because it's not our way, then to think of that it's quite scary, and to think that somebody is even though they did put the age up to 21, I still find that really young for somebody to have a gun because at 21 you're still quite immature.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I think I said to you before, maybe previous episodes, I remember being in Florida once and going into a sportswear shop called Dick's Sporting Goods, and obviously at the back, they've got they had a gun section. And I mean, I remember Justin actually asking, could he hold one of these guns? And of course the guy was like, yeah. And I think there is actually a picture of him with it. And I was like, I'm in a sports shop, and there's a gun section. It just didn't, it was hard to understand that was real. It was...
Yeah, I'd be like, I want to buy some sportswear.
Yeah, like trainers or a top or whatever. But here was
workout stuff.
I know, I'll just buy a gun while I'm at it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense in my world. But, I said in America, that's the norm, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the norm for them.
So, yeah. So, at this point, as I said, it's easy to have a bit of sympathy with Cruz because, he was adopted, his adoptive parents, both did die. He clearly has mental health issues and he just keeps getting passed around. But like I said to you earlier, that's where it ends.
Yeah.
That's where the sympathy ends. So, what happens next, there is no excuse for this. So for the students and teachers at Stoneman Douglas High School, February the 14th, Valentine's Day, 2008 started the same day as any other normal school day would. They could never have imagined what was about to come that afternoon. So Cruz himself had arrived at the high school. He was carrying a rifle case and a backpack, which he wasn't meant to be having a backpack, remember?
Yeah.
So he was actually spotted by a staff member who he radioed a colleague to say that Cruz was walking purposefully towards Building 12. It must be named but different buildings. However, he did not pursue Cruz or call a code red, which is basically to lock down the school.
Yeah.
He didn't call that through his radio. So at this point, I'm kind of like, okay, if you've seen him with a rifle case...
I was going to say, if he's actually carrying a rifle case...
Well, that's what I didn't understand. I mean, the backpack, you might not have known. Because obviously, maybe you can't tell what's in a backpack if you have smaller guns.
I was going to say, but that's not necessarily a code red, just for somebody having a backpack.
Even though I know he's not allowed to, but I mean that might. But if he's got a rifle case, I mean, I don't maybe know what I mean, surely.
But surely people know what a rifle case.
Well, in America, you must know.
Yeah.
If you're a country that has guns and stuff like that, surely you'd have an idea, especially.
Or even if you didn't know, you would kind of guess.
Well, yeah, because
a rifle, is that not one of the sort of longer ones?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the case looked like.
We're just speculating.
We're speculating, so I don't actually know. So Cruz entered Building 12. And it was a 3-storey building containing 30 classrooms, typically occupied by about 900 students and about 30 teachers.
Good.
He was armed with a rifle and multiple rounds of the bullets.
Ammo.
Well, it says multiple magazines, but
magazines.
Yeah. Cruz entered a hallway, and he began firing randomly at students and teachers.
Oh, I tell you what, listen to this.
You're gonna have to. The fire alarm suddenly went off. They're not sure whether Cruz himself pulled it or whether it went off because of smoke from the gunfire. So I don't know, but the fire alarm went off, which obviously wasn't a great thing because that caused people to run out into the hallway.
Yeah.
It caused confusion as there had already been a fire drill that day. So if people would have obviously thought, "Oh shit, what's happened?" This obviously it's, if you're not expecting the fire drill, when the fire alarm goes off, you have to obviously evacuate the building.
Panicking, like if it was an actual real fire.
Exactly. So Cruz first killed 3 students in the hallway.
God.
Then he fired through the windows of 4 closed classroom doors. So I'm assuming the doors must have glass in the actual doors. So he fired through them, killing 6 more students and wounding 13 others.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I did wonder why they couldn't hide a bit better if someone peered through the window of the door. Like, I did wonder, because if he's firing through the door and managed to kill people, I did wonder why they couldn't hide out of view of that. So that if he was firing through. But apparently, it is actually noted that the classrooms in Building 12 lacked safe places to hide. So it must be quite an open plan. And I think there was things like the way the furniture was set out and stuff, it made it harder for blind spots and stuff like that. Right. It obviously wasn't set out well for you to hide from somebody firing a gun, basically. So as the shooting unfolded, a code red was still not called.
Why?
Called it I think it was due to confusion among school employees over who had the authority to do so.
Really?
But I'm like, is there somebody that's to be had authority with that? I don't know.
If that's the case, in an actual shooting, maybe for other things, okay, I understand that, but there's a kid going around shooting everybody. Surely it doesn't matter who has the authority or whatever, just somebody.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, at about 12:21 p.m, a staff member eventually activated a lockdown.
Right.
But this was only after discovering the body of a victim and hearing gunfire.
Oh, God.
By this point it was, there was already people had been killed by this point. So but whether it could have been raised sooner and things would have been different, I don't know. I mean, you can never tell now because it's not happened. So Cruz killed 2 staff members near a stairwell. He then went to the second floor where he fired into 2 more classrooms, but thankfully he didn't hit anyone at that point. He then went on to the 3rd floor and he shot and killed 5 students there.
Bloody hell.
And another staff member who had all been stranded in the hallway. And next he went into a teacher's lounge where he attempted to shoot out the hurricane-resistant windows. So he'd obviously tried to fire at the windows, but...
Hurricane,
they're obviously quite strong windows. And they were facing the yard in order to target students and staff fleeing below. Thankfully, he failed. So thankfully, the windows resisted, because I think if he had managed to break the windows, it would have been like a field day for him, just shooting at people randomly running around. Yeah. So thankfully, that at least was something positive that it didn't happen at. So at this point, the shooting stopped.
Why?
Possibly because his rifle jammed.
Ah, okay.
Cruz dropped his rifle on the 3rd floor of the building. He left the scene by blending in with fleeing students. It was then reported that he walked to a fast food restaurant to get a drink. He lingered there for a while and then left on foot just after 3 p.m. And at about 3:40, police stopped Cruz 2 miles away from the school and arrested him as the suspected shooter. He was taken to hospital with laboured breathing, and after 40 minutes there, he was released back into police custody and booked into the county jail. So in total, the shooting had lasted about 6 minutes.
Is that all?
That is all 6 minutes,
wow.
Yeah. And all the victims were shot in just under 4 minutes. And as I say, I've written here, it's scary how quick something like that can unfold.
How many folk did he kill?
Well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
We're
jumping the gun.
You're jumping the gun there. So school surveillance was alleged to show Cruz as the shooter, and he was also recognised by eyewitnesses.
Okay, let's take a minute to tell you about this week's show sponsor. Ana Luisa are the first direct-to-consumer jewellery brand to become carbon neutral. Since founding in 2018, Ana Luisa has evaluated the environmental impact of every aspect of their company, and their goal is to get their carbon footprint to zero. If you want to go and check them out, you can find them at analuisa.com. That's ANALUISA. There is a fantastic selection of jewellery to choose from, so you can style up any outfit for any occasion, whether it be an afternoon coffee date or a night out on the town. So whether you just want to treat yourself or maybe a loved one, Ana Luisa has got you covered.
That's right. And as Jill said, if you want to head over to their website, it's analuisa.com, which is ANALUISA.com. We also have a special promo code for our lovely listeners. So if you want a great deal and you want to get 10% off, enter our promo code at checkout, which is Divers. Ana Luisa has new jewellery collections that are released every Friday, and with prices starting from $39, there's something for everyone. When we visited their website, prices were actually in our own currency, which made things so much easier as we knew exactly what we would be paying. But Jill and I actually received 3 pieces each. We got some earrings, which are absolutely beautiful. The earrings that I got, I haven't taken them out since I've actually got them. I normally get to a point where my ears get quite sore from earrings, but I've had them in for a few weeks and I can't even feel them now. We also got some lovely rings, which Jill actually got an adjustable one, so if you're not sure of your ring size, it could be perfect for you. And we also got a lovely necklace and bracelet, all brilliant pieces, and couldn't be happy with them. So if you want to see the pictures of them, we'll put them on our social media pages. And also not forgetting that shipping was actually really quick as well, considering we're overseas. We received them within days.
So if you want to treat yourself or your loved ones, then head on over to their website, analuisa.com. That's ANALUISA, and enter our discount code DIVERS to get 10% off. We absolutely recommend them. They're a great brand making beautiful, sustainable jewellery. So when you get to checkout, remember and enter our discount code DIVERS to get 10% off, and we will put the link in the show notes. Okay, so let's get back to today's episode.
Now I'm going to tell you about the victims.
Okay.
So 17 people were killed that day and 17 more were wounded but survived.
Wow.
12 victims were killed inside the building, 3 died just outside the building and 2 died in hospital.
And all that, what did you say, 4 minutes?
Well, 6 minutes the whole thing, but they were shot in under 4 minutes, yeah.
How can you shoot that many people in that amount of time?
It was just shooting everybody.
That's awful.
I know.
Right, okay, sorry.
So there were 14 students and 3 teachers. So I thought I would tell you all their names.
Yeah. Of course, they deserve it.
Now I'm going to apologise because...
Are you going to pronounce them wrong?
Well, there is some that are quite difficult. Well, I found quite difficult to pronounce. I think in the UK, I think our names are quite simple, but because there's so many different cultures in America, they do have a lot of harder pronouncing names. So I do apologise if I have got anybody's name wrong.
Just try your hardest.
I'm trying my best. So there was the 3 teachers, which was 35-year-old Scott Beagle. There was 49-year-old Chris Hickson, and 37-year-old Aaron Face, I think that's how you pronounce it. So that was the 3 teachers, all male teachers. So the students were 14-year-old Alyssa Aladeff, 14-year-old Martin Duque, 17-year-old Nicholas DeWart, 14-year-old Jamie Gutenberg, 15-year-old Luke Hoyer, 14-year-old Cara Lauren, 14-year-old Gina Monteto, 17-year-old Joaquin Oliver, 14-year-old Elena Petty, 18-year-old Meadow Pollock, 17-year-old Helena Ramsey, 14-year-old Alex Shatter, 16-year-old Carmen Shentrup, and 15-year-old Peter Wang.
Oh, that's awful, because they were all, sort of 14, 15, a little bit older, but oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's sad. So none of these victims deserve to lose their lives.
Of course not.
But there were some, I want to note that there were some heroic attempts to save others.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a few of the instances. So, geography teacher Scott Beagle, he was killed after he unlocked a classroom for students to enter and hide. Aaron Face, another teacher, who was an assistant football coach and security guard, he was killed as he shielded 2 students. And Chris Hickson, the other teacher, he was the school's athletic director. He was killed as he ran towards the sound of gunfire and tried to help fleeing students.
That'd be instinct for the teachers, though,
Yeah,
wouldn't it, to try and protect the students.
Exactly. So, I thought, that was fair enough. So there was a few of the students as well. So there was student Peter Wang. He was last seen in his Junior Reserves Officer Training Corps, which, for anybody that doesn't know that, the Junior Reserve Training Corps is to instill in students the secondary educational institutions the values of citizenships, service to the United States, and personal responsibility and sense of accomplishment. So it's obviously just like a group that they join in, which was quite nice. He was holding doors open so that others could get out quickly, and Peter was unable to get away as Cruz appeared and fatally shot him. So his actions were actually commended, and he was described as a hero. A White House petition called for him to be buried with full military honours.
Really?
And at their respective funerals, Peter Wang, Elena Petty, and Martin Kay were all honoured by the US Army with ROTC Medal for heroism, and Peter was buried in his Junior Reserve Officers Corps uniform. And he was also given a rare posthumous admission to the United States Military Academy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Isn't it nice, though, to have them honoured like that?
Well, exactly. I thought that was lovely. And there was also Alyssa Alfadelf. I think that's who I'm sorry. She was the captain of the Parkland Soccer Club, and she was honoured by the United States Women National Team prior to a game. Her teammates and family were invited and presented with official tops that features her name. Meadow Pollock, she was a senior who was shot 4 times as Cruz fired into other classrooms. Meadow crawled to a classroom door but was unable to get inside. Cara Lowren was with her, and Meadow covered Cara in an attempt to shield her from the bullets. But sadly, Cruz returned to find the girls again and shot 5 more times, killing both girls. So,
oh, God.
Yeah.
That's awful.
I know. And what's also sad about the case is that maybe it could have been prevented because Cruz, he was already known to the police. A public record showed that from 2008 to 2017, at least 45 calls were made to the sheriff's office in relation to Cruz.
45?
In relation to Cruz, his brother, or the family home. And on the 5th of February 2016, the calls included a tip-off that Cruz had threatened to shoot the school up, and a tip on the 30th of November 2017 that he might be a school shooter in the making, and that he collected knives and guns. And on the 23rd of September 2016, a peer counsellor notified the school resource officer of a suicide attempt from Cruz and an intent to buy a gun. And that was when the school indicated that it would, they would do a threat assessment against him at that point. And it was stated by people at the school that Cruz should have been committed for a mental evaluation. And on the 24th of September 2017, a person using the username Nicholas Cruz posted a comment to a YouTube video that read, quote, "I'm going to be a professional shooter," end quote. But the person who uploaded the video did report the comment to the FBI, but they were unable to track down the person who made the comment.
All right.
It does sound like it would have been him, but there was no proof or anything to say it would have been. So on the 5th of January 2018, more than a month before the shooting, the FBI received a tip-off on its public access line from a person who was close to Cruz. The caller provided information about Cruz's gun ownership, desire to kill people, erratic behaviour and disturbing social media posts, as well as potential of him conducting a school shooting. And after conducting an investigation, the FBI said the tip line did not follow protocol when the information was not forwarded to the Miami field office, where investigative can't say that word. Investigative.
I can't even say either.
Anyway, you know what I mean. Steps would have been taken So the FBI opened a probe into the tip line's operations. So there are, to me, plenty of points there that this could have potentially been avoided if maybe things had been followed up more. Because, all that, to me, clearly was evidence that he was eventually going to do this.
Yeah.
So crazy. So Cruz was charged with 17 counts of premeditated murder and held without bond. If convicted of first-degree murder, he faced the death penalty or life without parole. Cruz apparently did confess to the shooting. And on March 7th, 2018, a grand jury indicted Cruz on 34 charges, which was 17 counts of first-degree murder and 17 counts of attempted first-degree murder. The prosecution filed their notice of intent to seek the death penalty, and they said that they can prove 5 of the aggravating factors that qualify a murder for the death penalty in Florida. I'll tell you what the aggravating factors are, just so you understand what they said they could prove 5 of these that had to be. So the first one is it was committed by a person previously convicted of a felony under sentence of imprisonment, placed on community control or felony probation. Second one, the defendant was previously convicted of another capital felony or of a felony involving the use or threat of violence to the person. 3, the defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to many persons. 4, it was committed while the defendant was engaged or was an accomplice in the commission of or an attempt to commit a specified felony such as aggravated child abuse, arson, kidnapping, placing or discharging of a destructive device or bomb. 5, it was committed for the purpose of avoiding or preventing a lawful arrest or effecting an escape from custody. 6, it was committed for pecuniary gain.
And what?
Pecuniary gain? I don't know what that means. 7, it was committed to disrupt or hinder the lawful exercise of any governmental function or enforcement of laws. I've missed out 8. Alright, we've missed out 8, sorry. Apologies for that. I thought I had screenshotted it properly because I've just read this off my phone. 9, it was committed in a cold, calculated and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. 10, the victim was a law enforcement officer engaged in the performance of his or her official duties. 11, the victim was an elected or appointed public official engaged in the performance of his or her official duties if the motive for the capital felony was related, in whole or in part, to the victim's official capacity. 12, the victim was a person less than 12 years of age. 13, the victim was particularly vulnerable due to advanced age or disability or because the defendant stood in a position of familial or custodial authority over the victim. 14, it was committed by a criminal gang member. 15, it was committed by a person currently or formerly designated as a sexual predator. And finally, 16, it was committed by a person subject to a restrictive order or a foreign protection order and was committed against the person who obtained the injunction or protection order or any spouse, child, sibling or parent of this person. Jeez, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
But basically, they had to prove 5 of them for to qualify for the death penalty.
Right.
So the prosecution was saying that they could prove that there was 5 of them. Cruz declined to enter a plea, so a not guilty plea was entered on his behalf, which I didn't know if that was I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I thought you had to be instructed by your client, but they did it anyway. So
I don't know. I've never heard of somebody not putting in a plea before.
Yeah, so he declined to enter it, and they put in a not guilty plea on his behalf.
Okay.
The defence had earlier offered a guilty plea, but only if the death penalty was taken off the table. But the prosecution refused to take that off the table, so that's why they entered a not guilty plea.
Okay.
So according to the Sheriff's Office, Cruz attacked a jail officer in November 2018. He was charged with aggravated assault on the officer, battery of an officer, and use of an electric or chemical weapon against an officer. The officer had allegedly asked Cruz to not drag his sandals on the ground, and it was claimed that Cruz responded by sticking his middle finger up and striking the officer in the face. He also grabbed the stun gun out of the officer's holder, and the weapon was discharged during the brawl. Before the officer regained control, and Cruz was placed in solitary confinement. So Cruz appeared at an initial hearing on assault charges, so those charges could add an extra 25 years to the death penalty, or 34 life terms. So Cruz's trial was initially scheduled to start on the 27th of January 2020, but it was delayed until mid-year to allow lawyers more time to build their case. The case was then, of course, delayed again due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
So the case is actually expected to go to trial in September, so round about now, it should have been, in 2021, but I've not seen any reports to say it has.
Oh.
So
I wanted to know what he got.
So he has not been convicted yet.
Ugh. What are you telling me this for then?
Well, I didn't realise this till later on in the case. I was like, oh, this is not actually finished. I thought this was actually... I mean, because I'd heard of this shooting.
Right.
But for some reason I thought it was a lot further back than maybe it was. And I thought, then when I read it was like in 2017, I thought, oh, he's probably been convicted.
It'll have been wrapped up by now.
But as I say, because obviously it might well have been bar COVID, but COVID obviously got in its way. So yeah, so I will keep an eye out on that trial.
And keep us updated.
And keep you updated on it. As I say, I tried to look, because I thought, well, it's, we're actually near the end of September now. This case goes out in October.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it would have been reports about maybe it starting, but I couldn't find anything to say that it's things. I don't know if it's been delayed again or...
You'll just
or
keep checking.
But yeah, so...
He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison
I think
anyway.
so, yeah. I mean, I think he should. I mean, that's horrific. And
definitely, that's absolutely awful. How anybody can do that is... I don't like that.
The thing is,
horrendous.
unless anything comes out from the trial, but there's no real rhyme or reason why he... Other than him wanting to be a school shooter, I mean, it's like an ambition of his that he wanted to be a school shooter. He wanted to be a professional shooter. So
seriously, there's better things than that.
Well, I know
that's not an ambition, mate.
Like go and join the army or something. I mean, because I think he was part of the junior corps as well at some point.
Right.
So join the army, or go and fight the battles in. Well, not I know Afghanistan's finished now, but go and join the army and fight the world and do it that way if you want to.
Don't think he wanted to do that though.
Well,
obviously right from the start he had behavioural problems and the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
He's obviously got issues. And
yeah, I mean that's it. He clearly had issues from the start, but
that's horrendous. That doesn't mean that you can go and just randomly shoot innocent people.
That's what I mean. Like when you send your kids to school, you expect them to be fairly safe at school, and you expect them to come home from school, and to just have some random... I mean, that must be scary to just, come out your class and some person's there with a gun and just shooting and...
terrifying.
I'd say it's potluck whether it hits you or not, really, or if you can get away.
Yeah, and that's it, and it's just bad luck if you get in the way because, he's not aiming at anybody in particular.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just randomly shooting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the most scariest kind of killer, to do that. It's just so random,
and that's what,
and he doesn't care who he is.
Exactly, and that's what I say before. Thank God for the windows being hurricane proof, because I do think if he had managed to smash those windows, a lot more people would have been shot.
Right,
because they would have just been standing there shooting at everybody running in the in the playground area.
That's terrifying. That's awful.
Yeah,
school shootings, any kind of shootings, obviously.
Oh yeah,
but
I know.
And
America seems to have had more of a problem with school shootings, isn't it? Because I mean,
Scotland's had one.
Oh yeah, we have had one. We had a famous
that was horrendous because that was 5-year-olds?
Yeah.
Just it doesn't matter what age they are. It's just
any age
horrendous.
is horrific. Yeah, obviously, but
for it to be in Scotland, that was because you just don't expect that.
No, you don't
in our country, but you shouldn't be expecting it in any country.
Exactly.
That just shouldn't be a thing. It
definitely shouldn't be.
It's just horrendous. So
it really, really is, and I hope I don't know whether he'll get the death penalty or not, but
I don't want him to get the death penalty because he deserves to suffer. I've always been 50-50 about the death penalty, but now after starting a true crime podcast, I'm against it. I think all these people should suffer. I think the death penalty, I think that's the easy way out.
Yeah,
and I don't think that anybody should have the right to take. I mean, because there've been so many like miscarriages of justice. I mean, obviously in this case we know that he did it,
Yeah.
but there are cases where there's miscarriages of justice and death's just too final.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
You can't reverse that.
No.
But I just I don't believe
he should spend the rest of his life in prison.
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
And I think he probably will. By the sounds of it, I think he probably will.
he deserves to.
So let's say I will keep my ears out and eyes out, and
Keep
if
us
I
updated.
and if I find out more about it, I'll update you at a later date.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yes,
And
thanks for listening today.
thank you for listening, everybody. And remember, this is the last episode of Series 3. And what date did I said we'll be back on the 26th?
26th.
26th.
Yeah,
is that it?
26th of October, just in time for Halloween.
Yeah, so we'll be back then. So if you would like, in the meantime, we're still going to be doing our Patreon episodes. So if you'd like to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/CrimeDivers, and we have 3 different tiers. We have, so, it tells you what you can get in each tier, and you get bonus episodes. There's quite a few episodes up there. And if you want to follow us on social media, we'll put all our information.
Yeah. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, rate and review.
And remember, if you want to head on over to analuisa.com, enter the promo code DIVERS to get your 10% off.
Okay. Brilliant.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.